Support WrestleTalk!
Click the thumbs up.
Is Batista returning to WWE to face Triple H? I'm Ollie Davis. This is the other one, Luke Owen. Welcome to the WrestleRamble review edition of SmackDown, which is sponsored by Beer 52. If you go over to www.beer52.com/WrestleTalk, you, my friends, will get a free case of craft beer. This is one of the beers that comes in this month's box, which we'll be sampling later on in the show. That's for UK viewers only. Don't get annoyed at us, Americans.
So you just have to pay for the shipping. The case itself is actually free.
But to the task in hand, the big news coming out of SmackDown 1000. It was a big show with a lot of newsworthy things happening on it. Mm-hmm. But I want to talk about, where was Tori Wilson?
No.
She was advertised. I was looking forward to her. She is the only reason I watched this.
Well, Michelle McCool didn't show up either. Neither did James Ellsworth. James Ellsworth was there. He actually did a WWE.com video being like, why wasn't I on TV? And it really does feel that this show, particularly this segment we're going to talk about, derailed the whole show. I think this segment might have gone longer than it was supposed to, and everything else had to sort of like be condensed down, because like the Undertaker came out at the end of the show as like the final, literally the bell rung, and then the Undertaker had to make his entrance because you need 10 minutes to do that, and he said 3 words and then left. I wonder if like the show this segment ran longer than it was supposed to, and things like your Tori Wilson appearance and your Michelle McCool appearance was scrapped.
Are you telling me a Triple H segment went long?
Wow, I mean,
over its allotted time.
I'm just speculating here. That's all speculation on my part.
And potentially a McMahon family segment also ran long.
There is also that possibility as well, yeah.
To the detriment to people who are not in control of the company.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a reason why The Miz and Rusev went, I believe, 15 seconds.
Blast for me, blast for you, blast for everybody. So, this is Evolution Reuniting, which, as much as we're joking about it going long, I thought was a tremendous segment. I loved it.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought it was probably the best thing on the show, really.
But we should clarify that when we say Evolution, we are talking about
the group.
The Raw faction.
Yeah, not the pay-per-view that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, the Raw faction on this SmackDown celebration show.
Now, I wonder as well, because I wasn't really hyped for like an Evolution reunion on SmackDown, considering they were a Raw exclusive brand. But like, I wonder really, I wasn't hyped for an Evolution promo or an Evolution reunion for the same reason that we've seen a lot of people in our comment section aren't into the Shield at the moment, because they weren't watching wrestling when the Shield were originally around. So they just look at the Shield now as an excuse to get Roman over, which that's what the Shield always were, but they were just really awesome. And Evolution, or Evolution, depending on your point of origin, were a group that were around when I wasn't watching wrestling. This was when I'd stopped watching.
This is both of us, we were, after the Attitude Era kind of
dropped
crashed,
off.
we watched SmackDown because you had that great Paul Heyman
I wasn't even watching that. I stopped at 2002-ish. I stopped watching it. It was when Hogan won the belt, and then Undertaker won it a month later. I was like, no, I'm done with this.
Yeah, well, this Triple H faction, was a great. It was meant to get Randy Orton over,
and
similar
Batista.
to how Batista got over by accident, and they went with him.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was always designed to get Randy.
I thought it was. I knew it was designed to get Randy over. I thought the point of it was to get both of them over.
Yeah, obviously, but they always thought Randy was going to be the big star there, allegedly. So but they all come out for this in their various guises. It was just, so the problem with this is Batista, to me, feels like such a SmackDown star.
Yeah.
And I really, he was a huge part of that mid-noughties to late noughties SmackDown brand. So I really think this should just be a Batista return. You advertise it as a Batista return. That's big. That's like mainstream big, because he's in these highest grossing superhero movies of all time. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Because then you can put Batista returns at the top of all your adverts rather than Evolution returns, which, by the way, is comprised of Ric Flair, Triple H, the Batista guys in it, and Randy Orton. You bring Batista down, and then as a nice moment, you surprise him with the Evolution reunion.
That's how
I would have done it.
That's a really nice way of doing it. Because like when I got back into watching wrestling, which was early 2005, that was just as Evolution had come to an end. Randy Orton had already been kicked out of the group, and it was when they were doing Batista's face turn against Triple H to lead into that WrestleMania match they had. Then the second like that match happened, he went off to SmackDown. So I, like you, have always thought, yeah, Batista's definitely a SmackDown guy. And I'll be honest, out of all these four lads that were in the ring, he was the only one I was interested in hearing from. Like he was the shining star of this segment. Really, the whole segment was designed for him. So the Evolution thing really was like an almost redundant backdrop to it.
Which is weird because this was Washington DC, great crowd. I thought all night. Batista's hometown, which he very eloquently put over in his promo, and he was and it's SmackDown 1000. He was only only contacted to return a couple of weeks ago
when he complained about it on Twitter.
Yeah, and like that was quite obviously, that's not just, well, it was reportedly, but you can work out for yourself that's what actually happened. It's not like that turned into a storyline.
Well, the thing is with Batista, you see, he didn't do what the Bellas did. The Bellas became famous outside of WWE, but through WWE, really, with like the Total Divas and Total Bellas stuff. Whereas Batista literally went, no, I'm done. And he walked off and he became mega famous outside of, without the help of WWE. So they're always, you can find those sort of wrestlers have like a bit of a, or the company has a bit of a chip on their shoulder about those sorts of people who become famous without them.
Also, people who are closely linked to Triple H, who go on and have that big movie career that Triple H probably wishes he could have had.
He always wanted that big movie career, and it never happened for him because he was in Blade Trinity, which is a dreadful movie.
And he's not a good actor. Like, he's a great professional wrestler, but he is not a good actor.
I mean,
of film.
Incredibly, though, he's not the worst thing in Blade Trinity.
Yeah, but that's a special movie. He's quite fun in Blade Trinity. Yeah. Chaperone, it's awful.
That is a bad film. So this segment was just here to tease the Batista versus Triple H match at WrestleMania next year.
But when that presumably that was only something they agreed upon in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, because
after they started advertising the Evolution reunion.
Right, most likely, because Batista's whole deal was he said, like, I want to do one last run with the company, but not do what I did during that Royal Rumble period, like when I came back and I was meant to win the title at WrestleMania, but unfortunately that Daniel Bryan bloke got over and sort of messed everything up. He wanted to sort of come back and do a full run, do the TV, do house shows, do all of it, and end with a Batista versus Triple H match at WrestleMania. Like, that was what he's always wanted to do. That's what he said he wanted to do earlier this year. He was going to be Ronda Rousey's tag team partner at WrestleMania this year. And this isn't rumor or speculation. This is what Batista has said in interviews. This is what Dave Meltzer had reported, and Batista, said, "Yeah, that's true. I was going to be Ronda Rousey's tag team partner, and it was all agreed upon. And then all of a sudden, they just stopped returning my calls, and then was just like, and then they announced Kurt Angle as the tag team partner without telling Dave, and he just went, well, I guess I'm not at WrestleMania this year then." And he's been sort of like very down on the company all year long, really, and the tweets have kind of sort of backed that up. Until this point here, as you said, like 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden they announced that he is going to be coming back. And yeah, part of that appears to be for a match with Triple H at Mania.
Yeah, so it's 8 minutes in now, and I feel like we have been quite down on this. But this segment I thought was really, really good. They come out, all four guys, in their suits, like even Randy Orton in a suit, which does jar with stuff he's been doing recently.
This is not the Randy Orton we've seen over the last. No. This was, as we said, an out of canon Randy Orton appearance is what we thought it would be last week, and this was very much out of canon Randy Orton.
It straddled. It's the story of the show. It straddled being a nostalgia out of canon show while trying to, because he was still heelish and still talking about cementing his legacy, but he was also in a suit, hugging everyone.
Yeah, and although full credit to this segment, at least they didn't beat up a tag team and completely bury them. So, thumbs up to that, I guess.
Sorry, Revival.
Sorry, yes. It was better than Raw 25.
Yeah, so that they come out, and there's a moment on the top of the ramp where Triple H hugs Batista. And I thought, that's nice. I want to see them be friends and go for it. And they come down, and they all stand in the ring, and they each have a bit of promo time. Triple H, a remarkably brief promo.
I've written here. Triple H says some stuff.
Yeah.
Because what he said, there was no fruit to it whatsoever. Like he literally was like, "Hello," and then passed the mic over to Ric Flair.
And Flair said he said, "I'm here at SmackDown 1000. I'm more familiar with the number 10,000,
Nice.
which is his his figure in his head of the amount of women he's slept with.
Yeah.
Which was one of my favourite stories of last year. The amount of women who have had a mission to Space Mountain,
Yeah.
which is what Ric Flair calls the act of having sex with Ric Flair. And I can't remember who did it now, but a website really dove into the numbers and was like, this is... Unless sex was his full-time job.
Which it more or less was.
Yeah,
in
where
the
he was
1980s.
having sex with 3 different women a day.
Genuinely,
not counting.
I could believe it. I genuinely could believe it.
Ooh, this is going to be good.
Ric Flair has said that wrestling, like, he loves wrestling, but it was all about the partying. Like, the stories he tells about wrestling are never about, I had this great match with this person, I had this amazing feud with this person. It was like, I had a match, and then we went out and partied until, 4 the next afternoon, and then we would drive to the next town and do a show. I don't know who it was with, and then I would party again, and I would just drink all day long.
That's his gimmick.
That's his gimmick, man, and he
Yeah,
lives the
living it.
gimmick.
But, I'm glad that people like Ric Flair exist, but I think that it's going to become increasingly problematic.
I think that
We're into these.
when Ric Flair does sadly leave this mortal coil, he does need to be experimented on to find out how he is still alive.
Definitely.
Or how he lived for so long.
He nearly died last year. I forget
know.
about that
Yeah.
with surgery complications. Ric Flair has that funny promo. Randy Orton, I was like, God, where are they going to go with this? Because he's been this great heel the last couple of months, and he starts to do a babyface promo with Evolution, but then he's like, hey, I'm actually the only one still doing stuff here. Like, you're
running the show.
Yeah, Flair is living vicariously through Charlotte, and Batista just sits in a makeup chair all day long.
Yeah,
so that was at least a bit of continuity
In a multi-billion-dollar movie. Like, it's one thing to say, if Batista had a unsuccessful Hollywood career, then I could almost see the point where it's like, and you make loads of money by sitting...
It's a heel promo!
I know, but it falls apart. Heel promos only really work if they actually have a point.
Yeah, which is why the Miz is...
Yeah,
you end up rooting for him because you have very legitimate concerns.
Yeah.
But then they passed the mic over to Batista.
Yes.
And this was already it felt so organic, these 4 guys, when they were talking and the chemistry in the ring.
And they broke character at one point because Batista just has this off-the-cuff line that none of the other 3 were expecting. The crowd reacted big to it, and they all, broke into laughter.
Triple H, had to turn away from the hard cam
Yeah.
because he was... Well, they called it breaking in America, don't they? But we call it corpsing.
Yes.
Laughing when you're not meant to.
And I thought it was lovely. And it felt like Batista hadn't been given a script or anything to say. It was just like, here's a microphone. Go out there. And he's like, I've got 4 points I want to make. First of all, I'm happy to be here. Second of all, this is my hometown. Third thing I want to say, you fans are all brilliant. Even when you booed me, when you cheered me, when you called me Blue Teaster and Boo Teaster, I loved it.
Big cheers,
And I was just so happy to be here. And then 4th reason I wanted to be here is these 3 guys. And he starts putting over these 3 guys. Ric Flair is a legend. Randy Orton's the youngest world heavyweight champion of all time. Putting over his. And then Triple H, he's done everything in this business. Everything there is to do. Except beat me. And the crowd all of a sudden go, oh, because it turned.
Oh, it was
the segment
great.
turned. It was really, because it really was this segment. It's so great to be here. And then all of a sudden, wrestling angle. It was wonderfully done.
It's that, that awesome switch that live performances can have like that, or just any great piece of drama.
And Triple H sold this so well.
I feel bad now for calling him a bad actor, but he's a bad actor in the subtle realm of movies. But here, his acting was sublime.
So good.
He just had this such a subtle look on his face of, you what, mate?
Yeah.
And then they but Ric Flair does this stupid dance in between them, don't fight, guys. And they laugh and they hug and they're all celebrating. But then the camera goes on Triple H again, and he's like, you're not getting away with that.
Yeah, I called it in my WrestleMania review. I called it in my SmackDown review. WrestleMania stare intensifies, because he really all of a sudden had this look on his face. It was like, oh, we're building to a WrestleMania match. And I want everyone in here to know we're having a WrestleMania match. But again, it really does strike that chord of the best built matches in WWE this year have all been around Triple H. Triple H and The Undertaker was a brilliantly booked and told story leading into Super Showdown and into Crown Jewel and now into WrestleMania next year.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone else is just, you're on the show and you have your matches.
I've been thinking about this, and I don't think it's as simple as a case of, oh, well, he's Triple H, he wants to give himself all the best stuff.
No.
Like, it's not that. I think it's more of a case of, I know I can do this. I trust myself to go out there and have these unscripted segments and build these long-term storylines and have multiple feuds going at once, big feuds, because he's got the Brothers of Destruction stuff as well. Like, I trust myself to do that because I'm Triple H. But I don't necessarily trust all these other guys. Like, they haven't proved it enough yet because they haven't been given the opportunity.
That's it.
And that's why they have to do the scripted thing. So I think most people in WWE management are doing what they think is right. Unfortunately, it's also quite stifling.
Yeah, and I would say to that as well as an addendum to that is that I'd imagine Vince looks at these guys and we're like, well, they're stars. Like, we need to push these guys. Like, these guys sell tickets. They are legitimate draws. So obviously, we're going to give them all the big time matches. And then, they're not here all the time. Like, these guys over here, you're people who are there week in and week out. You're not treating them like stars. They're just on the show. Whereas these guys over here, who just show up for your big four pay-per-views or your Saudi Arabia shows or what have you, they're just they're the stars.
Yeah. But Batista's delivery was really, really good.
I thought it was great.
Particularly when he was talking about Washington, D.C. and how he was a poor kid growing up. He saw more violence than anyone should have to see. He was a bouncer downtown. And he got to the top. It was really, really genuine. It
was great.
And that bit that you were talking about with Ric Flair, I can't remember what Flair did, but Batista just goes, keep it in your pants.
Yeah,
this is a family show, and that's what made everyone
It's
joke.
because he went to do, he put over Flair, and Flair went to do a fist bump, but Batista didn't see it. And it was all this awkward, he did see. And then Batista looked, so he went to do it again, but Batista didn't notice it again. So there's this really cute, awkward moment between them. And then they did the fist bump, and he was like, yeah, keep that thing away from me. Keep that thing in your pants.
Yeah, well, it should be Randy you're looking out for. Allegedly. Just a really, this is the perfect balance of nostalgia and actual substance. I don't think you could, there are a few better examples in recent times of this. Really good stuff.
If it was me, and I'd been the one, I'd have built this around Batista's return as opposed to an Evolution return. And then you have, maybe you could have Randy Orton come down and you have Ric Flair. And you do it as an incremental surprise, building up to Triple H coming down. And that's when you have the killer line of, you've done everything in this business except for beat me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beer52.com/WrestleTalk. That's where you can get your free case. UK viewers only. We are so this is our first can.
This is So this is from the Garden Brewery.
I'm going to do some Foley.
Yep.
It's going to be very satisfying.
I hope this doesn't spill everywhere. Oh, that might have actually peaked the microphones there.
Wait. Here it comes.
Lovely stuff.
That's going to be better for podcast listeners, so you don't have to see my stupid face.
Yeah, this bit isn't in the podcast.
Not in the podcast.
No, because they've got the Beer52 have got a different advert in the podcast.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this is from the Garden Brewery. What I like about the Garden Brewery is that they're not messing around. Some of these breweries, they like to come up with fancy names and everything. Nope, they've just got, if their beer is a stout, it's called stout. If it's a pale ale, they just call it pale ale in Pilsner. And this is Citrus IPA from the Garden Brewery, 7.2, enjoyed between 7 and 10 degrees. Yeah, it's 7.2.
Or us, enjoyed between 7 and 10 a.m.
Hey, tasting notes. What are you thinking?
Well, I want to say citrus.
I mean, yeah, you should be able to say taste citrus there.
It's fruity, it's light. What's the aftertaste there? Floral notes.
Yeah.
Don't know what floral notes, but that's something people say. I love this sponsor. I love you, Beer52. Thanks for letting us do this.
I will say, we did pick out the wrong one, though, because this one's only found in the 10-pack. So I've got this one, but it's not going to be in the actual 10 case, unfortunately, in the case you get free.
Oh, it's for you high rollers.
However,
so there are two options. You can get the 8-pack of beers or the 10 pack.
And I get the 10. But this is the tasting notes. A citrus bomb, fresh Croatian oranges and grapefruit and lime lime, rind and
grapefruit,
zest combined
yes.
with dank American hops, dark orange in colour with a slight haze and a lingering tight white head. A sweet orange and tropical aroma and a complex citrus bitter orange flavour is followed by a soft sweetness and lingering sticky bitterness. I actually haven't had this yet. I haven't had any of the cans from the this month's box.
Well, should you enjoy that while we get on with the main review?
It's a SmackDown review, Maggle. I love it. We got us a flying Uso.
So, SmackDown 1000. SmackDown CN. Where was Andrade Almas? Wait,
That's
CN
100.
100.
Yes.
Okay. Doesn't work as well.
No.
They open with a video package of lots of famous moments from SmackDown's past, and this was like, this was really nice because I was brought up on SmackDown as a wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have Sky Sports, which was what it was broadcast on over here in the UK, but I did have Sky One. So every Thursday morning, between I think it was 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., SmackDown would be on, a heavily edited version, mostly shots of the crowd as people were hit by chairs.
Saturday mornings as well was when you get your
Yeah.
SmackDown. So I used to go to my friend's house because we've never had Sky in our house because Rupert Murdoch's evil. But I'd go over to his house and enjoy the fruits of him paying for paying Rupert Murdoch, paying the devil. So we would go over there and watch the highlights from SmackDown. So I like you, I was kind of like had this nice, good heavy diet of SmackDown, and actually this video package kind of like reflected that because the majority of the highlights here were like late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s, and then nothing else. It was all like, hey, wasn't Rey Mysterio great? Wasn't Eddie great? Wasn't JBL great? Wasn't the Attitude Era great? And then there's this other stuff over here. Then there's like another 10 years that we're not showing.
It's a bit of an indictment. I mean, it's quite easy to forget that SmackDown was nothing for about 6-7 years.
Yeah, it really was.
But it was just the Raw replay show.
Yeah,
and it was only in 2016 when they changed that.
Yeah,
with
it
the
really
brand split.
started to fall off the.
We didn't used to review SmackDown. That's a recent thing because it was just nothing happened on it.
It's now a relevant show again.
Yeah, and they treated it as such. Like all those big stars were on
Raw.
Well, on Raw, yeah. Or like they existed before 2009.
Yeah, remember that period in time when like Raw became the super show, so it had both Raw and SmackDown guys, but then SmackDown just had the SmackDown guys, and it was such a rubbish show to watch because nothing happened.
Yeah,
week to week it was awful.
Yeah, and it was like it wasn't just nothing happened; it was whatever did happen, you'd already seen on Raw, and it wouldn't matter. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But one of my favourite bit that they included, which I think is a rather odd choice, but I'm happy they did, twice in video recap packages, Big Boss Man stealing Big Show's dad's coffin and running it around the funeral. One of the all-time most ridiculous, fantastic angles.
It's so, Big Boss Man is involved in two of my favourite, utterly ridiculous Attitude Era angles.
That's a heel.
That is a heel. It was him stopping Big Show's dad's funeral. Do you remember the poem he did on Raw about this as well?
Yeah.
He was reading out the poem about how he's glad that his dad's dead, or how his dad's glad that he's dead because his son's such an idiot. Oh, the Big Boss Man was awesome. And when he kidnapped Al Snow's dog, killed it, and turned it into chili and fed it to Al Snow, which South Park did as a gag.
One of the best videos ever. Something Scott Tenorman must die.
Yeah, Scott Tenorman must die. I was really happy that was there. But some of my other highlights that were in this: Rhino goring Jericho through the through the screen. Vince McMahon winning the WWF Championship. That was early days SmackDown as well. That was like episode 20 or so. Stephanie McMahon winning the Women's Championship, which she held for a long, long time. Long time.
She invented the women. She invented women. So that's where it began.
Teddy Long's ride with the Undertaker. Teddy Longface.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, and my personal favourite is Austin and Booker T in their supermarket brawl. Price check on Jackass. So good.
So SmackDown used to be even more fun than it was today.
So my friend, this takes me back. My friend was not a fan of wrestling whatsoever. He just had no interest in it. But he, to this day, will say it's one of the funniest things he's ever seen is that Austin and Booker T. And he knows, almost line for line, the things that happen within it. It was do you remember that fight in the supermarket? It's so funny. And it really was good.
Well, sticking with the McMahon focus of just WWE in general and that opening video package, Truth TV opened the show with special guest Stephanie McMahon.
This is awful entrance music. As soon as I heard that music, I was like, oh, dearie me.
Did you get flashbacks?
Yeah, I did, yeah. It's
BTS?
like Vietnam flashbacks. Truth also had this funny line where he was like, this Truth TV's been on SmackDown for years now.
Yeah.
And Carmella had to be like, yeah, we've only had one show and we got cancelled off the back of it. But they did have...
Well, then Truth interrupts and goes, dance break.
Dance break, yeah. And then he went to introduce Stephanie McMahon, but then thought we should have another dance break. Byron Saxton is so dorky during these dance breaks because he loves it.
Yeah.
He's like, I wish the whole show was dance breaks. Anyways,
So does Vince McMahon, probably, the amount he does dance-offs.
Yeah.
The Truth's introduction was great. He did it's like such a simple, overused gag, but Truth is very good at delivering these lines. My next guest needs no introduction. Okay. And then, Stephanie McMahon comes out.
and she says that she's the first GM of SmackDown. And then who should return but Shane McMahon? And I'm with Corey Graves on this one. Where the hell have you been? Where the hell have you been, Shane?
Yeah, they haven't really explained that.
Joe was trying to invade AJ's house, Shane. Where have you been? What you been up to for these last 8 months?
Delegation. It's one of the great tools that Shane has in his arsenal.
That's
It's
exactly what Todd Phillips
delegation,
says.
yeah,
He said he's
and-
been running the show from behind the scenes, been helping Paige, which is...
Doesn't want to overshadow her.
No, absolutely
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
no. And he does, what's up, Washington? And then he welcomes Stephanie to the A show.
I thought he had a good promo.
Well, he's had 8 months to practice it.
Yeah, Shane, I was very down on Shane for the last, year of his SmackDown run.
Yeah.
But I thought he was very good here in his delivery.
I liked Stephanie's retort when Shane says, welcome to the A show. And Stephanie's like, I mean, it is a show.
Yeah. They're similar to the Evolution segment. I thought their chemistry together and the way they interrupted each other was really, really organic, and it felt cool.
They're allowed to do it.
They're allowed to do it. It's a shame. But Stephanie, especially, she will talk over other people's bits.
Oh, she loves doing that.
No one else can get away with that.
She loves talking over people or trying to make snide comments about people while they're doing their entrance or something.
Yeah, talk over the entrance music. And a lot of the time it's annoying.
It falls flat a lot of the time as well.
But I thought this was, it came across really well. But then they're bickering. It feels organic. No chance hits.
Do you know, you talk about the ends of the spectrum of great and awful entrance music.
Yeah.
Like, Stephanie McMahon's is one of the worst entrance themes of all time. Like, top 5 worst themes of all time. Vince McMahon, you're talking top 5 best of all time.
Jim
It's
Johnston's
such...
bangers.
Oh, it's an amazing song.
I love Shane McMahon's music. Here comes the money.
Oh, you're that guy.
Hey.
No, I'm with you, it's fine.
But yeah, Vince McMahon comes out looking, old.
Yeah, I mean, so one of our website writers, Andy Datson, is in the office today, and he was watching a Big Show thing on WWE.com. He was like, oh, he looks like an old man. I was like, it's because he is an old man.
Yeah.
And Vince looks old because, he's an old man now.
He's so it looks like he's shrunk in the wash a bit I always think of, the oldest Vince in my head is 2006, I guess.
Yeah.
So everything after... Oh, no, when he had that match against CM Punk. That's the last...
Did he have a match with CM Punk?
Oh, yeah.
I know they did the angle and everything. Did they have a match?
Yeah, they had a match on Raw.
God, I don't remember that whatsoever.
So it was about 2012,
I wasn't-
2011
yeah.
maybe.
Oh, crikey.
But he comes out and he does a dance break.
Yeah, because the story is, or apparently the rumor and innuendo, is that Vince McMahon and R-Truth are really close and chummy in real life, because Vince has said R-Truth is the funniest person he's ever met in his life. So it almost makes sense that this segment's his. Like, when he hugged R-Truth in the ring, I was like, oh yeah, do you remember that story about how he thinks that Truth is legitimately the funniest person he's ever met?
Well, there's that famous backstage image, isn't there,
Yeah.
of them, Vince, just the happiest, most bust-in-a-gut laughter I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's R-Truth who's obviously told the joke.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see that odd couple. Where's that ride-along?
Where's that on the WWE Network?
Oh.
Maybe a fly along where he could be on the plane.
Of course. I was just a bit disappointed that Vince didn't break into stand back.
Well, I was disappointed that this didn't build to anything.
It just stopped.
Yeah, it just it literally just stopped and ended. Again, maybe it ran longer than it was supposed to. But
So that's apparently it did that and Evolution.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
right. Well, yeah, that makes sense. But it's I thought maybe they'll announce a match or something, or there's a tag match later on for the titles. And they said, like, oh, it was Paige and all the old SmackDown GMs booked this match together. I was like, why don't you just do this here in the ring? Use this segment to build to something later in the show. As it was, like, I made this joke throughout the SmackDown review, which hasn't gone live yet, but I'm going to assume everyone hates it, is just going, cameo! Because that's what the show felt like.
A lot of it, yeah.
And I'd imagine that, and this segment really was just like, cameo!
Yeah, it didn't. It's very similar to, I mean, Raw 25, terrible show. But what an opening segment!
Yeah,
with Vince McMahon and Stone Cold. Shane was in there as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, stunners all round.
Oh yeah, so that was remarkable, but it did not build to anything. So in isolation, very good, but no substance. Whereas Evolution's reunion had all that, and it had some fantastic substance.
Yeah.
Next up, we got AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. Of course, they will fight at Crown Jewel for the WWE Championship, and they did the gimmick of, well, now they'll have to work together in a tag match against the Usos. I would have liked a reason why, but fair enough.
I mean, my first note here is just talk about a match I didn't know I wanted to see. Because like when the Usos came out, I was like, I'm so into watching this match.
Ah, okay. I got the like, man, the Usos have fallen so far down the card.
Oh, really?
They won here, so that's good. But like, where have the Usos been? And it's not their fault. Like, what else can they do? They stole 2017. And then they play second fiddle to the Bludgeon Brothers and get lost in a very stacked SmackDown tag division. They need to go to Raw immediatthe
It's funny, actually, you say that. Like, so I put up a tweet yesterday about the Evolution Battle Royal of just being like, well, it's the rest of the women's division is just being put into this one match. And someone, like, I had quite a few people tweet back to me, it's like, well, they can't all have storylines. And that's exactly what the tag team division is. Like, you look at the Usos, like, they can't all have storylines.
No one says that about other shows.
No, I know.
Well, it can't be entertaining all the time.
All of them can't have storylines.
So yeah, this was the Usos versus AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. It was like really lively crowd. There was a really nice spot where AJ locked in the calf crusher on one Uso. Daniel Bryan got the yes sock on another.
Yeah.
And that was like going right into the ad break. I thought that was one of the more effective. We're going into a break. But there was a
rolls
break
on
just before. But yeah, the finish was Bryan accidentally collides with AJ and he turns right round into a double super kick and takes the loss. So I like that the Usos won. I would have liked the commentary to put over more that they won because they are a team all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as great as AJ and Bryan are individually...
I think Corey was saying that throughout the match.
That's good.
And what I liked about this is that last week, this feud, when that was the first part of this feud, they were on Miz TV and they were just joking with the Miz, making fun of the Miz, and it was all about Daniel Bryan being like, this is all joking and everything, but I am going to win at Crown Jewel. And AJ was like, yeah, I mean, you're a nice guy and everything, but I am going to win at Crown Jewel. And it was this very friendly rivalry. This almost now is kind of like it's the end of the friendly rivalry now, and now we can go into something different. And I think that's quite a nice curve to take this on for the next couple of weeks before we get to the show. So I quite like the outcome of that.
Yeah. I've got no disagreement with the dynamic shift, and I just don't see why they had to work together in a tag match. I'm not super down on it. It's just I don't think it was effective as it could have been. Plus, what left a bad taste in my mouth at the end, like Byron Saxton is asking on commentary, but what about their friendship? and we call the women's division out for it all the time, so we have to do it here as well. Who gives a crap?
Yeah.
Like, they're fighting for the WWE title. They're gonna combust at some point. Like, what? Not every. And where is this Bryan AJ friendship? That's never been alluded to before.
You're just supposed to know, mate.
So yeah, stop making it out like everyone's friends backstage. They should be all at each other's throats. You should have very professional rivalry. Yeah, I'm done with that.
I completely agree with you.
Then we get a backstage segment with Paige. Just no talking, but Paige is with Vicky Guerrero. Then Teddy Long just comes in and starts doing his thing, and then John Laurinaitis walks in and just points to the ceiling in the white suit.
Yep. People power cameo.
So yeah, like I don't fully understand why adults would just start dancing in front of a camera randomly.
Hey man, it's a celebration.
But I'm one of the few John Laurinaitis fans, so I really did pop pop for him. I thought he was awesome.
Yeah.
Evolution segment next, which we discussed. Then The Miz versus Rusev.
Well, before that, we got The Rock sent a tweet to
Yes.
say, congrats SmackDown. So that was nice.
Nice to have you, Rock.
Nice for your secretary to write that tweet out for you and post it. And that I think was kind of like my big. I said this in the review, and I don't want to get into final thoughts just yet. But I didn't think this worked particularly as a celebration of SmackDown because all the guys I would associate with SmackDown weren't really there. Like Rock wasn't there, Cena wasn't there, JBL wasn't there.
JBL's a good one.
They didn't do a video package for Eddie Guerrero. Rey was there, but he had his match with Nakamura and Edge and Batista. But Batista was more about the Evolution thing, so it never really felt like a celebration of SmackDown.
And Kurt Angle as well was just like
he was
just
there.
deployed.
Yeah,
but blink and you miss him.
I
mean, he was on commentary here.
I genuinely forgot he was there as well.
Yeah, so Kurt was on commentary for The Miz versus Rusev because I liked how they gave it a reason for it because the crown. Was a crown jewel qualifier. Kurt Angle has qualified for that World Cup
to determine the best in the world.
But of all the people who didn't need a reason to be, it's like Kurt deserves a segment all by himself with someone.
Yeah, again, he was one of those guys that was really putting SmackDown on the map when they first did the brand split, and they wanted to make SmackDown, like Paul Heyman was determined to make SmackDown feel like a big deal.
Yeah, a bit of a Paul Heyman promo would have been nice as well.
Yeah, it's actually a good shout.
I mean, Brock's expensive, but maybe he would have done it out the good of his heart.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Rock, I thought, is that it?
Yeah.
When Rock tweeted, and then even at the end of the show, I was like, okay, well, Undertaker, and maybe The Rock does something as well.
Well, it didn't even get like a live via satellite thing that John Cena did later on.
So Rock did, was it the 10th anniversary or the 15th? Rock did a recorded message with all these belts at home, and that was great. That was a really good promo. So yeah, not even a pre-recorded thing.
Yeah, he's busy. He's a busy man. Anyway, Aiden English ran down literally as soon as the match basically started, and he tripped Rusev, and then Rusev got rolled up by Miz. Match did go about 30 seconds, if that. And then afterwards, Lana low-blowed Aiden English because he's an idiot and didn't run away. He literally stood there with his legs apart, like you were asking for it, mate.
Well, I tell you who did run away. As soon as Miz made the pin, he bolted out there. Have you seen the GIF that's doing the rounds?
No.
When he, because Aiden's just standing there with his hands up in the air after he's cost Rusev the victory. Miz runs past him, jumps up, high fives English in one fell swoop, and then keeps on running.
That's
It's
amazing.
great. It's very good.
And then so I got an email from someone. I don't know if they watched the Ramble or if they just watched the news. I'm assuming they watched the Ramble, but they sent an email to say that Aiden English's T-shirt makes no sense because Rusev has got the Bulgarian flag and Lana has got the Russian flag, even though she's not Russian, although her character was at one point. But he said, I don't know why Aiden's has got the Argentinian flag. And he said, as best I can tell, he's from Chicago. I'm guessing that he didn't mean it ironically. It's just that he is from Chicago and it's the Chicago colours. That's why he's got that.
Oh, okay.
I think he was genuinely confused.
There you go.
Yeah,
good to clear that up.
Yeah, so I thought I would do this rather on the podcast.
But Rusev beats up Aiden and chucks him into the steel steps and over the table, and then the segment just ends.
And it cut to the back so quickly. It was like he barely got over the table, and they were like, "Cut! We need to get to the back." And it was there with Kurt Hawkins talking to Edge. They were once he was once a lackey for Edge.
An edgehead.
He was an edgehead with Zack Ryder, and he's on his phone. He's got a picture of Zack Ryder trying to call and be like, "Hey, do you want to take this call with Zack Ryder?" And Edge is going, "No." He's like doing the no, let's not do that.
Which is weird because apparently Zack Ryder was backstage. So I don't know why they just didn't. Surely they could have worked out a funny thing with them all together.
He's getting ripped for 205 Live. He's got to lose some weight, mate.
Then we got the Edge segment, so the Cutting Edge talk show with Charlotte and Becky. Well, it was with Becky Lynch mainly. And Edge comes down. Man, I love Edge.
He's so
great entrance music.
He was so. Oh, that's a great song as well. A bit of Alter Bridge. He looked so happy to be there. But the highlight for me though was Tony Chimmel back. Superstar. And he did it on Burt. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. That gave me some yes, that's awesome. And then he comes down and he's talking about how SmackDown really felt like his show. He cashed in on Undertaker, hit the World Heavyweight Championship. He had that no DQ match with Eddie. He married Vicky. He divorced Vicky.
Way.
However, that's been pointed out that happened on Raw. So he didn't divorce Becky on SmackDown at all.
Okay.
But then, and this is where the segment took a bit of a turn for me, he's like, I'm here to be SmackDown's moral compass. Because he brings out Becky Lynch.
As soon as he said that, I thought, no, you're against Becky. Why are we
That's
doing
what I
this?
thought. I was like, no. And he brings out Becky Lynch and they sit down. And he's like, I see a lot of myself in you. You know, I was someone, I wasn't on the posters. I wasn't supposed to be at the top of the card. But I fought to get there. And like you, I lost a lot of friendships. I burned every bridge I possibly could. But you know what happens when you get to the top? You find out it's a lonely place. And when you're at home later on in your life and you're looking at all those championships that you won, you'll be alone and you won't like yourself. And the crowd start chanting for Becky because she's awesome. And Becky just said, like, yeah, you're right, I don't like myself. I love myself. And the crowd, Becky,
Yeah.
because everyone is really into Becky apart from this bloody company.
Yes.
It's so infuriating.
So this was like, on paper, this is great.
Yeah.
Like, this is like Edge's moral compass promo, and the story of someone turning on their friends to get the championships, all great. And I thought, well, why isn't it working then? And it is, you're right, it's because we are all into Becky as a badass. So, and we never really bought into the Charlotte-Becky relationship. And I thought, well, how would this work? And I thought, if they did this sort of angle after Kevin Owens turned on Chris Jericho, I'd have been like, you're damn right, Kevin Owens is the worst human being. Because I bought into him as a heel. That was like the most emotionally affected I've been in years from a WWE storyline. But yeah, it's just, they're telling a great story with the wrong person.
It's the Roman Reigns thing
It's
all
Roman
over again.
Reigns, so it's and yet that, like, I don't know how they cannot hear these crowd reactions. It's quite demonstrably the wrong thing they're doing. And Becky has this killer line after she says, I don't like myself. I love myself. Now get out of my ring. Don't hurt your neck on the way out.
And we're meant to, like, they want us to boo that, but we're like, no, that's a really great line. Like, that's a badass line. And it's so funny because we're doing Bad Blood 97 for WrestleRamble Extra, and I was watching it a bit of early as we're going to record later on. And that was like very early in like Austin's run when he was starting to catch fire. Like, he'd won the IC belt, but he got injured and he had his neck broken by Owen Hart, but the crowd was still really, really behind him. And he comes out during the Owen Hart and Farouk match, and he starts essentially like raising hell. But you've got all the commentators there going like, God, he's the worst. God, I hate this guy. He's really, really awful. And yet the crowd are just like, he's the best. Absolutely love this man. He is the best. And they picked up upon that and were like, right, okay, well, let's start. He can just carry on what he's doing, but we're just going to pretend that he's a babyface and act like he's a babyface. And it worked. And you just got to look at this company and be like, you know this works. Like, you've literally got a track record of this working, and you're ignoring it.
Yeah.
Because then Charlotte comes out, booed heavily because she comes out and says that no one likes Becky when we do. And then they have a fight, and the crowd boo when Charlotte is winning and cheer when Becky is winning. And it's not working the way they want it to work. And yet they're so determined to make it work the way they want it to work. And it's a real shame.
Yeah, and Edge just Thanos' away.
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
And then they hard cut again. Like, it's very, like, it felt like it's not the kind of frantic cutting. It's the kind of, oh, this is a bit clunky cutting to another thing. Where Rey Mysterio is backstage hugging Jeff Hardy.
Yeah,
All right, mate. That was nice.
It was nice. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention on that Becky promo was Edge literally like did a Return of the Jedi. Like, he was like Luke Skywalker looking at Darth Vader going like, I see the good in you. And yeah, it was just nice. I thought it was I'm pretty sure it was meant to be a Return of the Jedi reference.
So then we got other than Evolution, my favourite bit of the show, The Bar and The New Day had a corking match.
Yeah, they did. Went through 2 commercial breaks.
I wish it didn't. I wish it was only 1 commercial break.
Because that second one was like the actual wrestling in between the breaks was about a minute and a half.
Yeah, like, could you not put that break somewhere else?
Yeah.
Because this was like, it really deserved me to see more of it.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed all the stuff that was happening, but yeah.
It was really like disjointed. My favourite bit of this match, though, and when I mean my favourite bit, obviously it's not my favourite bit, just the bit that made me howl with laughter, is because they've got Jerry Lawler and Booker T doing commentary, and they're sat behind the pancake table. And, Jerry Lawler and Booker T, they're going like, wait, blah, 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 it's good to be here, SmackDown 1000. And then they start doing the match. Then the camera cuts to Jerry and Booker doing commentary, but they're not doing commentary. They're just watching the match. but they're meant to be doing commentary. And all of a sudden, Jerry goes, "Oh, are we on? Oh, look at this match! Look at that move right there that he just did."
He jumps half a foot off his seat. It's in the little inset bit in the bottom corner of the screen they show him, and they're just silent. Oh yeah, okay, we're on. We're doing commentary. It was like, I like seeing Jerry there. I guess Booker T, fine, but you've got JR under contract, haven't you?
Yeah. Well,
JR and King.
Yeah, but they were more a Raw team. Like when SmackDown started, it was Jerry and Michael Cole. Yeah. So like Jerry and Michael Cole could have like worked there, but like why didn't you call Taz? And do like Michael Cole and Taz. And I said this in the review. This match would have been so great because this really would have straddled that line between a nostalgic show and being, furthering storylines by having Michael Cole and Taz do the commentary for this show. Just those two doing the whole commentary.
That would have been great.
And I've said this in the review. I never thought I would hear myself say, I really wish Michael Cole was doing commentary for this. But I thought that would have been really nice.
The actual match itself was really fast-paced.
Had to be.
Yeah, because they didn't get much TV time. I think in the live arena they did. Huge Uranagi from Big E on Cesaro's neck.
Landed right on his neck.
Right at the start.
Yeah.
Cesaro deadlifts Big E up for a neutralizer later. Loads of near falls. A really, really good one where Sheamus rolled up a member of the New Day and had his feet on the ropes, and Kofi runs past and knocks them off at the perfect time for a near 3 count.
Yeah, it's really good.
And then the bar go to put Kofi through the table, but Big Show's music hits.
Yeah, Big Show walks down to the ring. It looks like he's there to protect the New Day because he kind of like scares off the bar. But then he turns around and he grabs Kofi by the neck and he chokeslams him through the table. Another Big Show heel turn. The Bar win the SmackDown Tag Team Championships and they celebrate in the ring with the Big Show. Like Big Show's holding up both belts. And I was like, what a weird little faction. I'm so intrigued by it.
Yeah.
It's a weird little faction, but I'm very intrigued to see where it goes.
So yeah, is this a long-term thing? Or was this a meta joke on the amount of times Big Show's turned heel? So one review I read was, I'm surprised Big Show didn't turn face at the end and beat them both up again. I spoke last week about that Randy Orton Big Show main event. I was almost hoping Big Show would align himself with Orton and they'd create this grizzled old veterans thing and they start beating up loads of youngsters.
Can I give you my... here's my wish, my hope, my wishing and hoping.
Oh, go for it.
Is that next week on the show, you'll love this. Next week on the show, they announced that they are dissolving the SmackDown Tag Team Championships and introducing a 6-man Tag Team Championship, and that's exclusive to SmackDown. Because on there you've got, this new Franken team of the Bar and Big Show, Sanity, New Day, and then you could always put together Gallows Anderson and AJ Styles. That's 4 teams already. That's almost more than your SmackDown, like your women's division.
Yeah, I mean, that's I'm not against that. And then maybe even AOP come over with Drake Maverick.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Lucha House Party from 205 Live, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Stupid name. They're fantastic.
It is amongst the worst tag team names ever.
Well, but we've got quite a comfortable winner now. Thanks, Trish and Lita. But yes, I thought this was a really good match and, like you said, an intriguing angle. Don't know where they're going to go with it, but it's at least... I want to see what happens.
Did you hear Big Show's reasoning for why he did this? He did a WWE.com interview. Andy Datson played it to me just before I came out, and he simply said, that's the sort of thing I do.
What? I mean, with Big Show's character, that's a perfect reason.
Absolutely.
Then we got a pre-recorded promo in a nondescript location.
I was clearly at Super Showdown. Like the lighting was the Super Showdown lighting. Yeah,
of course.
He was wearing the same T-shirt. He hadn't had his hair cut. It was John Cena's haircut a promo.
Yeah, about the history of SmackDown. I love it when John Cena goes into this mode.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna tell you about the history and this story time with John.
Okay, so I've interviewed John Cena. He's one of the few wrestlers I actually have interviewed from WWE. And we asked him, and I felt very awkward because I don't like doing these bits, but ask someone in a professional interview setting, can you look at the camera and give us a shout out so we can put it as a bumper at the start and say, can you look at the camera and say, support WrestleTalk, give them a subscribe. John Cena is such a professional.
Yes, yeah.
He literally just like goes, knew where the camera was, knew exactly what to do, how to say it, the inflection to do it. He can ad-lib. And I just thought that's what we got here as well. This was literally like, oh, can you record a quick SmackDown thing we're going to play on SmackDown 1000? He was like, yeah, sure. Boop. And he just knew exactly what to do, exactly what to say, how long to say it for, and it probably done it in one take because he's such a professional. He's such a pro.
Yeah, which might be why it's not consistent with what happened a few weeks ago, because he does say, I can't wait, SmackDown, I'm going to be a part of it for many years to come. 2 weeks ago, at the end of Super Showdown, you were teasing retirement. Make up your mind, John.
Yeah. Also, I don't think you are going to be around for much longer. Like, not even just the retirement thing.
Around in spirit.
Around in spirit, absolutely. But
it was quite threatening the way you said that.
It rang as hollow as when The Rock came back and The Rock said, I am never leaving. I'm never going anywhere. And then he wasn't on TV for like a year.
Yeah, that and Kate Winslet in Titanic.
Yeah.
It's broken my faith in
never letting go.
Anyone.
Oh, no, I let go.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
The Titanic sinks. Rey Mysterio took on Shinsuke Nakamura in it was the main event match. I felt this was quite rushed.
Well, it had to be because everything had run long. But I thought as well, these two were not on the same page. I thought this was actually quite a sloppy match.
I thought it was decent, but this is Shinsuke Nakamura and Rey Mysterio. And Mysterio, if you told me Mysterio had a sloppy match in WWE 4 years ago, which was when the last time he was wrestling on SmackDown, then I would have gone, well, yeah, that's he's injured and he's just not good these days. But he's transformed himself over the last couple of years. The All-In stuff was great. Around the Indies, when we've seen him do stuff with Will Ospreay, New Japan, it's been fantastic. So yeah, it was a bit of a. It was not what I wanted it to be.
No, there was a nice spot where he did like a penguin slide underneath the bottom rope to do a splash on the outside on Shinsuke. That was really nice. The crowd started chanting, "You still got it," and I was like, "F you guys!" Like of course he has. He had a great 2018.
That chant.
I hate that chant as well. But yeah, there was quite a lot of bit of miscommunication, including like Nakamura not even doing the Hurricane Rana into the 619. Like he took the Hurricane Rana and then realized, oh no, wait, I meant to do a 619 position. And he almost like got himself up to put him in that position. And yeah, I don't think it was a particularly great match. And then Nakamura was bleeding from the nose, I'm assuming from the 619 right to the face. But Rey Mysterio qualifies for the World Cup to determine the best in the world.
Yeah, I realized how much I missed Nakamura as well. Like he's not been on TV or pay-per-views for quite some time.
It's like he needs a championship.
Yeah, right. And just seeing his entrance and his look, I was like, God, he's so good. Like he should have a storyline, guys. Put him in the Women's Battle Royal. But this was, I thought again, this had quite a few ad breaks in. How live TV, what I understand about live TV is that if you're approaching the end of your show, you've got so many ad breaks you need to get in. So you're like, okay, that's quick. We need to cram them all in now. So that might be what happened. Yeah. And then as soon as the match is over, Taker's music hits, massive dong, and everyone in the ring Thanos is away. Yeah. Undertaker does he's slightly speedier than usual, slow entrance. He says, I've got 3 words for you, DX, as opposed to DX's 2. And I was like, rest in peace? Is it going to be rest in peace?
Yep. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, got it. I mean, you said that on Raw. Like, I don't think you need to come out and do it here on SmackDown as well. And then he left. And that was the end of the show. I was like, what? I was like, okay, and Triple H is going to run out at the end and they're going to do like a big spot at the end of this.
I thought The Rock's music was going to hit.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. And then, but no, it just ended. The Crown Jewel reference did get boos, though. He said it Crown Jewel, and there was a smattering of boos through the crowd. So there is something there.
Well done, Washington.
Well done, Washington.
Heart of your country.
But it was so weird. You could just tell that the show the segments had overran, and that had affected everything else that was on the show. And really, you probably could have, you had to do it because he was advertised and you promoted it in the show, but it almost didn't need to be here.
I would have taken a Tori Wilson over an Undertaker.
Oh, of course you would have done, yeah.
So
it's the name of your autobiography.
Pacing-wise, not that great, but I really did enjoy it. Sometimes I'm easily impressed, and I just like cameos. And I thought the Evolution stuff was superb. We got a title change, Big Show's whatever number heel turn. So I thought a pretty solid Smacktastic for me.
I mean, I was really conflicted on this one because, as I said, I didn't think this worked as a nostalgia show. It also didn't really work as an episode of SmackDown. And what I would say, as much as I thought the Evolution stuff was awesome, like the teasing of Batista and Triple H, I would be amazed if this is a SmackDown feud going forwards.
Yeah, good point.
And that's the sort of and that's what I mean when I came out the show being like, well, I don't think this is ever going to pay off on a future episode of SmackDown. They just used SmackDown to start this, and then it's just going to move over to Raw. So SmackDown gains nothing from this, and the other guys and girls that are on that roster gain nothing from it. So it almost felt like, I know if you go by that point, then it was almost a redundant segment in terms of it being a good episode for SmackDown.
You're taking a Batista Triple H feud Raw. You've taken Tamina. What more do you want from us? Anyway, that's all we've got time for today. Please go over to beer52.com/WrestleTalk to get your free case of craft beer. UK viewers only, and click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk awesome things, and this button right here, which will subscribe you to the Apple Podcasts version with exclusive intros and outros. I've been Ollie Davis, this has been the other one, Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.